Right, we now move on to local board input, and I'd like to invite Angela Dalton forward. Angela, just while you make your way up, remembering we don't have this item on the agenda, so this is an issue that you're raising, but it's a little bit after the fact because of the work that the Mayor's doing in conjunction with our solid waste team and the Solid Waste Advisory Group to really push the illegal dumping issue forward, and we have $200,000 in there to deal with this alongside a whole lot of extra work. So interested in what you have to say, but I think we then need to pick that up in our review of the solid waste policy.
Thank you, Councillor House. Good morning, councillors. Yes, the presentation is a bit of preemptive actually on the feedback that will come through the consultation on the Auckland Waste Management and Minimisation Plan in 2018 through the LTP process. I guess the intent of this presentation is to say there is a commitment to success. So the presentation was presented to the Chairs Forum last Monday. I'm not here to speak on behalf of all of the boards. I can tell you that the issue around illegal dumping specifically is across the region. Perhaps not so much up in Rodney was the feedback we got, but certainly the Deputy Chair of Ōrākei told me last night he's very concerned. They've had 10 illegal dumpings over 3 weeks, which is a lot for the area. Right, so just some takeouts I'd like you to try and consider while I go through the presentation. I'm here to really raise awareness, you're probably already aware, but the investment that you've got going into the LTP, which is the same investment over the next 10 years. And I guess that's based on savings that will happen. I want you to consider what I say about the measuring of the data and how it's influencing the investment in the LTP. A little bit about the barriers to the success, not just for lower socio people, but for all members of our community in the current inorganic collection. And then I've got a final ask. So if you could just sort of focus on those things, that would be great. I'll try and sum up properly at the end. Also, there is a point where we all need to, we work really closely with operations, and I can't commend waste contracts and compliance enough for the work that they do and the pressure that they're under in keeping our communities clean, specifically with illegal dumping. But there's a time for local boards to speak to the governors, and that will happen again through the LTP, but here's a bit of a heads up. And this is really because we've had a pretty tough time over Christmas with illegal dumping. So the draft plan has 9 objectives set out, and as I said, they're coming from the same investment for the next 10 years as we've been having. So I just want to brief over it quite quickly, and I'll use this thing here, I think. It's a real high level of what my board might be doing to help deliver on this draft plan as we move forward with things we're doing right now. It's indicating that it's actually not enough, and can we consider what more we can do to make ourselves successful in getting to zero waste. So one of the outcomes is minimise waste generation, and some of the objectives to that is advocating for stronger regulatory incentives to reduce waste. I want to know what the local boards can do. So what I'm also asking for is some practical solutions for boards, some practical support and quality advice into how we can help with the change to the Waste Minimisation Act, the increase in the government waste levy, the input onto the container deposit scheme. What can we do that would add value to the input that's coming from the governing body as a whole? Advocating for product stewardship, so we know that 20% of the waste that we're seeing is residential, the rest is commercial. 20% is residential. And so what can we do to help with that advocacy to the producers and consumers' responsibility on waste? There's got to be more that we can be doing towards it as a country, but let's look at what we have some control over, so as local boards and as a governing body. increasing individuals' sense of personal responsibility. And I know I had some communication with Councillor Cashmore quite a long time ago, probably over a year ago, and that was about investing in our programs, our educational programs, which were cut from the previous budgets. They are important. So if we can't fund it, let's try and find some alternative funding, but they make a difference. So local boards are already doing this. We are supporting a group called Talking Trash, who is going around our community, but their reach is small. There's only a few people, but that's our investment to trying to get the educational message out. Clendon specifically used a program called Not in Our Hood, where they took photos of all the local leaders, put them around in the areas where people dump the most, and said, just don't dump in our hood, it's not okay, you know. It's been going probably over a month, and there is some success, but there's not a whole lot of success. There's more work that needs to be done. We'll just press on. We'll keep trying. And Atara has got neat streets, which I'm really interested in, and will be asking my board to do that. So, an idea from Board Chair Lotu Fully at the Chairs Forum was, how about a regional program, which the national program that we did have years ago, Be a Tidy Kiwi, something that resonates, something that means something to kids and parents, to everybody, something to be proud of, you know. So can we look into that? Is it already been done? I don't know. And also we need to have a functional relationship with Housing New Zealand. I've met with Housing New Zealand, I've sat alongside Councillor Newman with Housing New Zealand. It's not helpful. You know, they need to take some more responsibility for helping us with the educational education to their clients as well. We see a lot of that in my community around the Housing New Zealand houses, is the increase in dump. They are providing skip bins when some tenants leave. They don't always know when some tenants leave. Some tenants just leave, and they leave their rubbish behind as well. So how can we work together? All right, maximising opportunities for resource recovery, so developing infrastructure and processes to enable resource recovery. Well, I would like to see South Auckland get a resource recovery centre, so something meaningful, something that we can provide our community to go to. There's some barriers with them getting to transfer stations. Out of a resource recovery area, it goes the education, the accessibility, the jobs, all the good things that come out of that. Local economic development opportunities, we continue to work with BIDS and ATEED on what we can do around mana whenua in our industrial areas, around opportunities through resource recovery. Importantly, when you're developing policy, you had a policy approved in December, a procurement policy, that had no input by local boards, and the byline on the report said it didn't need input by local boards because it was a regional policy. Well, I challenge you on that. And I suggest that the local boards actually have their own working group now, which is a bit silly because we should be working together. But we have a working group now on procurement policy, and we should have had input into that policy so we can deliver locally on jobs. That's by the by. That's beside the point. Achieving operational efficiencies. Look, we're just going to keep trying not printing. I'm not doing a great job, but try not to print and be vigilant in our event. All the common sense stuff we will try to do. Reducing harm from residual waste, restricting organic and other harmful waste to the landfill. It comes back to education, and this is where we need more investment in the education. Our budgets are limited. Rob Thomas has just talked me into putting LDI aside for trees, and I'll be doing that. So, you know, the money just fritters away. It doesn't fritter. The money just goes the more we have to keep propping up other areas of the business. Reducing the incidence of litter. I have asked for a change to the Crimes Act. I would like support on that. Mayor Goff suggested there's something under the RMA. I haven't looked at the RMA, but when I say a change to legislation, I'm talking about those entrepreneurs. I'm talking about the people that are going to our homes, our families' homes, and saying, I'll get rid of your rubbish for $100. And they're pocketing the money and they're dumping it in our industrial areas or in our back streets or in our streams and in our rivers. That's not okay, and there needs to be a change to make sure that those penalties can be enforced by the police so they can arrest without a warrant.
We just need to wrap up, Angela.
We need a change to the inorganic collection, a variation of that. So let me move on really quickly. the statistics that you can't see, and I'm sorry about that because I know how annoying it is. I don't believe these statistics are right. So $1 million in that it costs us to pick up illegal dumping. I have asked for evidence of the statistics. I can't be given the evidence because of the contract confidentiality and cross-department information. I know from someone who has worked in Lean Model Six Sigma of measuring cost and effectiveness that we cannot decision make when we are not getting the right data to decision make with. I think it's a bit of a stab in the dark. I think the impact on community is huge, and that's a cost that we don't measure significantly. And you know, when you go to the 8 o'clock service at Clendon Anglican Church and the vicar is praying for the community that Auckland Council has a solution on illegal dumping because it's affecting pride, you've got a problem, especially when he nabs you afterward and asks you, what are you going to do about it? Oh no. Just a quick note on the statistics. I've got the statistics of who took up the new organic collection from Minerawa Papakura Ward. It was 7,900 people. We've got 40,000 households round about. But I even challenged that data because, Daniel, this will mean more to you, but there were 34 pickups in, 30 pickups in Trimden Ave booked versus 15 in Aberdeen Crescent and Wattle Downs. So I would suggest to you, and 33 in Trevor Hosking and 22 in Beaumont's Way versus 5 in Trossach Place. So I'd suggest to you that illegal dumping is being mixed in with booked inorganic. I would suggest that this data is not accurate and 20% did not pick up on. So traditional changes, education, inorganic, I would like to see some variation to the parameters. I have heard councillors, or I've read councillors say, we are not returning to the annual inorganic collections. I've heard that. There needs to be a variation because even for our high socio people, 1 cubic metre of selected rubbish is not meeting the needs. The rubbish is being dumped. You can't put a double bed out there. You can't put a lounge suite out there. It costs too much for many of our residents to go to the transfer station if they have a trailer. I'm wrapping up. The mayoral investment is welcome. The mayoral investment is welcome on dealing with what we have now. So enforcement, cleaning up Manarewa or the south, 40,000, and improving comms around recycling and organics, that's great, but it's still not going far enough to get us to 2021 is the first point that we should have nailed in organic. And we need to do more about educating our people and finding some solutions to the inorganics before we get there. So my ask is that South Auckland be a priority for a community recycling centre that will deliver on objectives 3, 4, 5, 8 and 9 of the plan. A variation to the annual inorganic collection will deliver on objective 8 and 9. Support for the change to the Crimes Act. I really want to get some good measurements around this. I want some support for the lean model of evidencing the true cost of at least illegal dumping, but most things that we decision make on. And, oh yes, there's a rubbish reporting GPS that's being developed out locally, which I think would be quite cool in enabling for young people and everyone to just take a photo of the rubbish and you've got the GPS on it, and it's, if it can feed into Auckland Council, that would be cool too. It just makes it easier once it helps with that statistical data. So that's the last slide, Councillor Hulse. So in there was a whole lot of information really quickly, but I would welcome the opportunity to speak to each councillor individually if they would like to. But this is an issue across the region, not just out in the south, and it's not okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate the input, Angela. So just to be really clear, we are about to go out to our community with our waste strategy to have exactly this discussion, and the boards will be front and centre of that. So just to address these ones quickly, we are working in the south. We're working with the Manukau Beautification Society. We have a site that we had approached them a year ago saying, would you like to run a community resource recovery centre along the lines of Helensville and Waitakere? They weren't ready to have that discussion yet. I know the board wasn't really ready to have that discussion yet. We're very keen to do that now. So we've been waiting for you guys to be ready. We're there. Secondly, the next 3 points get picked up as part of our wider discussion and our consultation on the waste strategy. And the last one, excellent, let's do that. So, councillors, doesn't look like there are burning questions. I'll move that we thank Angela for her presentation. Councillor Casey will second. All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Carried. Thank you.